guess I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Jam?
Man, I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I went on a bomber one tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
Well, you've been on the tour. Oh.
What's happening, my people? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Miss Cass, just do boxing. Kensaw Love 1. Jarrell Hattie. Salute to everyone and welcome to another episode of Cat Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, the life and career of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez has the family today. Kensaw 1 comes in the building bearing gifts as usual. Salute Kensaw Love 1. Appreciate you 1,000%, Kensaw Love 1. We're at the end of another big week of boxing history. Time for the profile. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez today. Okay. The Chocolatito is still active. I think he got something coming up in November, but he's got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door. So, and then of course, the first week of next month, we're gonna do our real active box. Is gonna be Earl Spence Jr. But today, Chocolatito. Okay. But first, we must start out with our fight of the day. So let's get into that. The fight of the day. The fight of the day today will be the Hands of Stone. Roberto Duran versus Ken Buchanan, June 26, 1972. Duran versus Buchanan. Okay, let's get into that. Chocolatito is a long one. So let's get started with the fight of the day. Duran versus Buchanan, June 26, 1972. In September of 1970, Scotland's Ken Buchanan won the WBA version of the World Lightweight Championship by a close 15-round decision over Panamanian Ismael Laguna. He would defend his title twice before taking on red-hot top contender Roberto Duran, also a Panamanian, at New York's Madison Square Garden. Now, Duran versus Buchanan ended after 13 rounds, most of them clearly won by Duran, with the popular challenger declared the winner and new champion. Yet, this fight, without question, stands as one of the most unfortunate debacles in boxing history. Let's talk about it. The action ended with Buchanan writhing in agony on the canvas, clutching his groin, his face a contorted mass of anguish. Such was his pain, he could barely stand and had to be half carried back to his corner. Moments later, referee Johnny Lobianco made a snap decision to end the fight, ruling the champion unfit to continue. For reasons unknown, Lobianco proved completely unsympathetic to Buchanan's assertions he had been fouled. Yet the referee paid no attention to that. You know, Buchanan was claiming he was fouled. That's why he couldn't continue, but Lobianco didn't even consider it. Some at ringside had seen the crippling low blow, which eventually sent the Scotsman to the hospital, but the referee did not. And for years, despite the fact a medical examination revealed serious injury to Buchanan's testicles, many rabid Duran fans have maintained the foul did not determine the outcome. I'm one of those rabid Duran fans, right? They wasn't going to beat no Roberto Duran, no way. But let's continue. Some even contend no foul occurred, or that it was the champion's fault if one did occur, since he dared to trade punches after the bell with the great Manos de Piedra, or that the Scotsman was pretending, putting on an Academy Award-worthy performance in an attempt to get the challenger disqualified. What did in fact take place was the following. As the final seconds of round 13 ticked away, the two boxers engaged in a lively exchange. Now, moments before, Duran had almost sent Buchanan through the ropes with a pair of right hands, but the champion returned fire with 4 big right hands of his own and a left hook at the belt. Now, Duran attempted to counter, and after the bell rang, the referee Lobianco pounced on him from behind, just as he drove a right uppercut into Buchanan's groin. The referee pulled Duran away. Buchanan fell back into the ropes, and then sank to the canvas in slow motion. Okay. Mike Rim in the building. What's up, Mike? Fight of the day, the Hands of Stone. Roberto Duran versus Ken Buchanan. Big controversy in this fight. Okay, let's continue. Salute, Mike. Okay. So Duran caught him with a low blow, and then Buchanan sank to the canvas in pain. What's up, Mike Mazik in the building? Salute, Mike Mazik. How are you today, Mike? We are on our fight of the day, Roberto Duran versus Ken Buchanan. Okay, let's continue with that. Okay, so there can be no doubt Buchanan was fouled and badly hurt. There was no acting involved. He was punched in the privates. Simple as that. And after the bell to boot. Punched in the privates and after the bell. But you know, you're in there with Roberto Duran, so you got to protect yourself at all times until you get back to your corner. You're in there with Roberto Duran. That's just what it was, man. Okay? Now, that the challenger was up to that point at which he landed that low blow, clearly the better man on the night. There can also be no doubt, right? Duran was winning clearly, blowing him away. Now, a veritable buzzsaw, Duran had dominated the action, scored a knockdown in the very first seconds of the first round, right? And keeping Buchanan on the defensive in almost every round, almost every second of every round. Duran set a savage pace, showing no respect for Buchanan, striking repeatedly with heavy right hands and dealing out alarming beatings in both the fifth and the 12th round. On the judges' scorecards, he took a minimum of 8 rounds, and this was just in the 13th. A minimum of 8, probably more. And as the fateful 13th round began, it was clear Buchanan needed a knockout to win. And that was the most unlikely prospect to happen. He needed a knockout and was not likely going to happen. Okay? Very unlikely. The way Duran had been dominating the fight for the first 12 rounds. A knockout was, they say nothing's impossible, but Buchanan knocking Duran out that night was as close to impossible as you can get, okay? That's how bad that was. But then the low blow came. But that said, there can also be no doubt that Buchanan was the victim of a gross injustice. Punches below the belt are not allowed. Punches after a round ending bell are not allowed. Further, it's a shame that a 22-year-old Roberto Duran, who would go on to establish himself as a true all-time great, had to win his first world title under such regrettable circumstances. Buchanan was one of the best boxers in the game at the time, slick and tough, with excellent stamina and a brilliant jab. The young Duran's domination of such a capable champion should stand as one of his greatest triumphs. Instead, the fight will forever be remembered for its sordid conclusion. And that was all on the referee, because you got a brawler like Roberto Duran is going to come out there and headbutt and get a low blow in. And if the referee don't stop him, you think Duran gonna stop doing that? He's gonna do that the entire fight if the referee let him get away with it. And Johnny Lobianco didn't reel him in. So that was all on the referee, right? That's just the way Roberto Duran fight. And he's headbutting and hitting low and the referee not stopping him. Roberto's not gonna stop himself. So that was all on Johnny Lobianco. Now, was the foul intentional? It's impossible to say. Probably was, but it's impossible to say. But there's no question Duran had taken liberties throughout the fight. He dominated primarily due to his ferocity, power, and the sheer volume of punches he threw. But on this, the biggest and most crucial night of his career thus far, Duran was Harry Greb, Jake LaMotta, and Fritz Exhibit all rolled into one. Those are three of the dirtiest fighters of all time. Harry Greb, Jake LaMotta, and Fritzy Zivik. And that night, Roberto was all on rolled up into one, and the referee didn't reel him in. He didn't stop him, so, Roberto just kept on fouling. Durant, he just kept fouling. Now, afterwards, most people agreed. Had this fight been held on Buchanan's home turf in the UK, Durant would have been disqualified long before that debacle happened in the 13th round, no doubt. But it was at Madison Square Garden. Had been in the UK, he would have been disqualified, or the referee would have stopped it over there. Incredibly, Durant received only a single warning from referee Lobianco, ironically, for punching Low in that fateful final round. Yeah, he got warned earlier in that 13th round before the low blow that stopped the fight. He had got a warning earlier in the round. Okay? Yep. That was the first warning he got of the fight. And there's the referee trying to pull Roberto away after he had caught him with that low blow. Kind of looked like on the belt line to me. Don't look that low. I don't know. That don't look too low. He got his trunks pulled up into his chest. But I'm kind of biased anyway toward Durant, so I don't know. But let's continue. Now, the performance of the referee Johnny Lobianco became the focus of much criticism after the fight, and deservedly so. First of all, Lobianco lost control of Durant and turned a blind eye to his roughhouse tactics, allowing far too much holding and wrestling. Durant repeatedly grinding his head into the champion's face. Buchanan, a stand-up boxer who worked to keep the challenger at the end of his punches, pointed out afterwards that Lobianco's handoff approach effectively rewarded Durant for fouling and mauling. He never once protected me, said the battered ex-champion at the post-fight press conference. Even when we clinched and was in the corner, he allowed Durant to keep me there. That's diabolical. Fight your way out of the corner then. You cannot depend, when the fighter got you cornered, you cannot depend on the referee to save you. Now, certain circumstances, he's supposed to break it up, but you cannot depend on that. You have to be able to fight your way out. So I don't buy that, Buchanan. Just because he had you in the corner and the referee didn't save you. It's on you to be able to fight your way out of those type of situations. And I'm sure before that fight, he saw Roberto Duran on film and knew how Duran fought. Okay, so I don't buy that about he didn't save you. No, that's just some crybaby type shit there. Okay, but more to the point, see, Buchanan was used to being over there in the UK, getting all that favorable treatment, but he had to fight outside of the UK and didn't get that favorable treatment, so he cried like a little infant baby. But more to the point, Lobianco's decisions at the conclusion of the fight were regrettable, to say the least. The simple fact is, he did not see the foul, but no referee sees every punch thrown in a fight. And in this case, it was impossible, since Lobianco was standing directly behind Duran. Now, attempting to break up the action as the bell sounded, Lobianco got to the challenger just as the low blow connected. But instead of consulting with others at ringside in action taken by referees in similar circumstances in the past, Lobianco simply ignored the protests of Buchanan in his corner and stopped the fight. Yeah, they didn't have instant replay and all that stuff back then. If they would have, they probably would have ruled it a no contest and had an immediate rematch. Okay? Didn't have it back then. After the fight, the New York State Athletic Commission failed Buchanan as well. Once it was possible to look at the film of the fight, and all could clearly see that Buchanan had in fact been fouled, the New York State Athletic Commission should have nullified Lobianco's ruling and ordered an immediate rematch. I wish they had. Then Roberto could have smashed him again, and we wouldn't have had all this crying for all these years and decades. I wish they would have had an immediate rematch. but they didn't. Now, why did this not happen? Various theories have been floated, and one can only speculate. Okay. But the undeniable fact is that Buchanan had beat a Panamanian, Ismael Laguna, to win the World Boxing Association title. And Duran was also Panamanian. And the WBA was an organization dominated by Latin American officials. The WBA is a Panamanian, just like the WBC is run by the Mexican in Mexico City. The WBA is in Panama, okay, controlled by the Panama. By 1975, the WBA's world headquarters was in fact moved from the United States to Panama City. Did the WBA pressure the New York State Athletic Commission to go along with Lobianco's hasty and misinformed ruling? Who can say? Because Buchanan did take it from Ismael Laguna, another Panamanian, so he's in there with Duran, another Panamanian. Maybe the WBA put some pressure on the New York State Athletic Commission to let all this go, right? And maybe they got to the referee. Boxing is a dirty game. And told paid the referee to let Duran get away with all that, right? Very possible. We all know boxing, right? Crush the legend in the building. What's up, Crush? We talking about the fight of the day, Crush. Roberto Duran versus Ken Buchanan. And Duran was dominating the fight, but he fouled in the 13th round. The referee let it go, and Duran won. And Buchanan's team been cried for like 3 decades. They finally met up and reconciled, but they cried for like 3 decades because of the foul. He was getting washed anyway. But you know, the WBA, he had beat a Panamanian for the title. WBA is in Panama, headquartered in Panama. They ran another Panamanian. There was a lot of stuff going around that the WBA got to the New York State Athletic Commission and the referee to let Duran do all that, right? But he didn't need to do all that to beat Buchanan. But like I was saying, the type of fighter Duran was, if the referee don't stop him from headbutting and going low, Duran ain't gonna stop. So it's up to the referee to stop him, right? That's just Roberto Duran, the hands of stone, especially in the 70s. That's how he fought. And the referee didn't step in, so Duran like, hey, he let me get away with it. That's right up my alley. Let's finish this off though, okay? At the very least, a second Duran versus Buchanan fight should have been mandated, and no one can deny that boxers have been compelled to compete again, following an unsatisfactory result. For example, consider Abner Maris versus Joseph Agbiko in 2011. After a pathetic officiating performance by the referee, which saw Maris land countless low blows without any points being deducted, a rematch was ordered. There was nothing preventing the New York State Athletic Commission or the WBA from doing the same thing for this fight back in 1972. Okay? That's Buchanan's fight with Jim Watt in 1973. I don't even know what that's doing in there. Now, a return fight never happened. Duran would go on to dominate the lightweight division for the next 7 years, establishing himself as one of the best 135-pounders in boxing history. Some regard him as the greatest ever. Buchanan posted victories over past and future champions, Carlos Ortiz and Jim Watt. Yeah, that's him and Jim Watt right there. And even challenged for a world title again in 1975, dropping a decision to Guts Ishimatsu. But the defeat to Roberto Duran haunted him. In interviews over the years, he complained bitterly of the circumstances surrounding the loss and the fact he could never secure a rematch. He conveniently didn't mention he was so far behind by that point he needed a knockout. So what is he crying about? He was clearly losing the fight, man. Come on. But again, he was used to that favorable treatment in the UK, and he had to fight outside of the UK that didn't get that favorable treatment. That's what all the tears is about. He said, every time I think of Duran, my balls hurt. It didn't even look like a low blow to me, to be honest with you. It really didn't. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. He got his shorts pulled up into his boot. Damn. If anything, the referee should have made him pull his shorts down some. So the Rand could see where they hitting at, you know? I don't know. I'm biased. Anyway, but Buchanan's inability to put that painful night behind him led to a bizarre episode in August of 1995. His ring earnings long gone, the former champion was working at the time as a construction tradesman in Edinburgh, Scotland. One afternoon, he abruptly threw down his tools, stalked off the site, and boarded a flight for New York City, where Buchanan understood Duran was in training for a fight. I got off the plane half pissed and somehow ended up in Harlem, he later recalled. I found myself in a bar with all these black guys, wanting to know if I'd heard of the Scottish fighter called Ken Buchanan. I told them I knew him pretty well. Yeah, they didn't know they was talking to Ken, right? So, but him and Duran did get together eventually. He never did track Roberto Duran down on that trip, but he later claimed the quixotic trip helped him to overcome his bitterness. But the demons were truly slain once and for all when Duran and Buchanan finally confronted one another 3 decades after that pivotal night in Madison Square Garden. In March of 2002, exactly 30 years later, Duran journeyed to England for an emotional reunion. The two men embracing and weeping at a public event attended by numerous fans as well as younger British boxers such as Michael Gomez and Ricky Hatton. Later in private, Duran finally acknowledged the low blow and apologized to the Scotsman. As soon as I heard the apology, I felt a great weight had been lifted off my shoulders, said Buchanan. It wasn't justice, and it wasn't a rematch, but at least Duran did the honorable thing, even if it was 3 decades too late. Okay, fight of the day, Roberto Duran versus Ken Buchanan. All right. Okay, the life and career of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez today. He is still active, but semi-active. I think Chocolatito got something coming up in November, I think. Yeah, but yeah, we're doing him today. And then the first Friday in September, our real active fighter going to be Earl Spence Jr. But there's your winner of the fight of the day right there. The Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran. And there's Chocolatito Gonzalez. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Okay, let's get into that. He's our profile today. It's Friday. Ready for the weekend. It's upon us. And then we got Sky Nicholson in there this weekend. Good young female fighter. I don't know what else is happening. Getting close to Canelo and Bud. Great show by Crush the Legend this morning. Y'all need to watch the playback on that one. Very, very good conversation about that. Everybody crying about the Tank situation and all that. Some of these people gonna get themselves strokes worrying about Tank, man. Damn, it ain't that serious. You know? It ain't that serious. I seen a guy on there was cursing people out and spit was coming out of his mouth, and I was like, damn, man. Wow, he act like he losing money or something because Tank fighting Jake Paul. But yeah, very good show by Crush this morning on that subject. That's one of the best I've seen since this information about this fighters came out. Yeah, check out the replay. It's very good. But the life and career of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez today on Cast Sports. Let's get into it. It's Chocolatito. Now, Roman Alberto Gonzalez Luna. He was born June 17th, 1987. He's a Nicaraguan pro boxer. He's the first boxer from Nicaragua to win world titles in 4 weight classes, having surpassed his mentor, idol, and former 3-weight world champion, Alexis Arguello. Right? That was his idol, Alexis. Both from Nicaragua. And Alexis only got 3. He was going for 4 when in the prior situation and everything. Fell a little short. Now, of course, his ring name was Chocolatito, right? He fought in 5 weight divisions during his career: mini flyweight 105, junior flyweight 108, flyweight 112, super flyweight 115, and bantamweight 118. That's where he's currently at. 5 foot 3 inches tall, had a reach of 64 inches. Chocolatito fights in the orthodox stance. Currently has 56 fights. He's won 52, lost 4, with 42 knockouts. For a knockout ratio of 80.7% on the dot. That's not bad. Not bad at all for Chocolatito. 80.7%. Now, he has held the WBA minimum weight title from 2008 to 2010, the WBA light junior flyweight title from 2011 to 2013, the WBC and the ring flyweight titles from 2014 to 2016, the WBC super flyweight title from 2016 to 2017, and the WBA super flyweight title from 2020 to 2021. Now, from September 2015 to March 2017, he was also ranked by the Ring and ESPN as the world's best active boxer pound for pound. 2 years. ESPN, the Ring, he was number 1 pound for pound. Now, he's known particularly for his aggressive pressure fighting style and combination punching. Brief look at Chocolatito's amateur career. He was reportedly undefeated as an amateur, amassing an 88-0 record in official amateur fights. The highlight of his amateur career was winning the junior flyweight gold medal at the 2004 Central American Championships. Okay. With the Chocolatito's career as a pro. Started out at junior flyweight, 108. But he did fight at minimum weight 105 also, but his first fight was at 108. Okay? The Chocolatito, an 18-year-old Gonzalez turned pro as a junior flyweight in 2005. In his debut fight, he fought at the Ferreras Casino in Managua, Nicaragua, against 23-year-old Ramon Urbana. Urbana was making heavy his second fight. He was 0-1 at the time. This was a scheduled 4-round fight. Gonzalez won by knockout in round 2. In his 9th pro fight, he fought Oscar Murillo for the vacant Nicaraguan and WBA Centro junior flyweight title. Gonzalez won by a first-round knockout. In his next fight, he would also win the WBA Federal Latin minimum weight title, 105, against Jose Luis Varela, after which he went back up to junior flyweight, fought 1 fight at 105, went back up. Okay? He won his first 16 fights, all by knockout, before he fought Hiroshi Matsumoto at the Bunker Gym in Yokohama, Japan on January 14th, 2008. The fight went the full 10 rounds as Chocolatito picked up the win by unanimous decision. Shut out on 2 cards, 190, 98-92 on the other one. That was his first fight outside of Nicaragua, outside of his native home country. Yep. Then he went back down to minimum weight. Okay. For Yutaka Nida. On September 15th, 2008, Chocolatito fought the WBA World Minimum Weight Champion, Yutaka Nida, in Yokohama, Japan, in what was only his second fight in the minimum weight division. He scored a technical knockout with 58 seconds left in the fourth round to win the title. He was ahead 30-27 on all the scorecards at the time of the stoppage, won all the first 3 rounds, and that was his first title at 105. That's WBA, minimum weight, 105. Now, after winning the WBA title, he made his debut at flyweight, 112. Jumped all the way up from 105 to 112. This was on December 13th, 2008. Okay? He stopped Miguel Tellez in the 3rd round. Okay? Then he made some subsequent defenses after that. In July of 2000, he went back to minimum weight again on February 28, 2009 to defend his world, because when he jumped to flyweight 112, he still had his minimum weight title, so he went back down to defend it, okay, against Francisco Rosas, which he won by majority decision. This was Chocolatito's first time fighting in Mexico. First time fighting in Mexico was that fight. First defense of his minimum weight title. In July of 2009, Gonzalez defended his belt at the World Memorial Hall in Japan against Katsunari Takayama. After 12 rounds, the 3 judges all scored it, 118-110 for Chocolatito. Okay? In January 2010, Gonzalez defended his title against Ivan Meneses. Meneses was knocked down in the 3rd round before the fight was stopped in the 4th round. So then, he went back to 108, junior flyweight. Returning to 108, going up and down. The Drunk Irishman in the building. What's up, Drunk Irishman? Life and career of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez today. So far, he started his career at junior flyweight. Then he won a championship at minimum weight. Went all the way up to 112 flyweight. Jumped back to minimum weight. Went back to junior flyweight. Now he's fighting at junior flyweight again. Right now. Now he vacated his minimum weight title after 3 successful defenses, moving back to junior flyweight. In his first fight in his new weight class, he defeated Jesus Limones by 2nd round TKO in September of 2010. September 2010. Then he fought Rosas again. 23 years old, he won the vacant WBA interim junior flyweight title against Francisco Rosas in Tokyo on October 24, 2010. This was the second time they fought, having previously fought in the minimum weight division. Gonzalez won by knockout in the 2nd round. Rosas was knocked down 3 times in the fight. After his first fight against Francisco Rosas, Chocolatito said that he fought while being ill with severe stomach disorders. And that was the reason why he looked so sluggish and tired, right? Then he was promoted to full champion in February 2011 after Juan Carlos Riveco resigned the title as junior flyweight champion to pursue a flyweight title. Okay, so now he's the full champion at junior flyweight. Okay, so that made him a 2-weight class champion because he had previously held the title at minimum weight 105. On February 22nd, 2011, it was announced that Chocolatito would make his first defense of his junior flyweight title against former champion Manuel Vargas on March 13th in Mexico. Now, Gonzalez was victorious over Vargas by unanimous decision. It was announced that he would return to fight in Mexico in July. In June, it was announced that Chocolatito would fight 31-year-old Omar Salado on July 9th. Okay? Omar Salado was his next victim. Has not lost yet, okay, in his career. Okay, excuse me for 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Now, Gonzalez dropped Salado en route to a stoppage win in the 7th round. Okay? Gonzalez versus Soto. Gonzalez's third defense took place at the Marquee Ballroom in MGM Grand Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada on October 1st, 2011. In his first fight in the United States, Chocolatito knocked out Omar Soto with a straight right and left uppercut combination 36 seconds into the second round. Now, the title was only on the line for Chocolatito as Soto weighed in considerably above the weight limit at 111 pounds. Remember, this was at 108. Soto came in at 111 pounds. Wow, 3 pounds overweight. So he couldn't possibly win the title, but he lost anyway. On March 17th, 2012, Chocolatito faced Manuel Jimenez at Sinaloa, Mexico, defeating him by a first-round knockout. This was a non-title fight. Now, the original opponent to fight Chocolatito was former IBF champion Ramon Garcia, who initially replaced his twin brother, Raul Garcia, but he didn't fight either one of them, okay? But he did fight Garcia eventually. Technique, what's up, Technique, in the building? Looking at Chocolatito today, Technique. Salute, good to see you today, Technique. Okay, let's continue. Your Chocolatito first, he started at 108, then his first title was at 105. Then he became a 2-division champion. He vacated at 105, and now, right now, currently, he's the 108 champion, where we're at right now. Not currently in real life. I think he's at 118 right now in 2025. I think he got a fight coming up in November. We're going to get to it later. Okay, so Gonzalez versus Garcia, and his first fight with Juan Francisco Estrada now. Because we're going to cover that trilogy too, Chocolatito and Juan Francisco Estrada, one of these Mondays. We're going to get to that one. Can't miss that one. That was a good one. Okay. On April 28th, 2012, Chocolatito defended his WBA junior flyweight title against Ramon Garcia at the Fairplex in Pomona, California. Now, the fight ended as the count was weighed by referee Raul Caiz Jr. after Garcia was knocked down twice in the 4th round. Chocolatito was ahead 30-27 on all scorecards at the time of stoppage. He had won all 3 of the first rounds when they stopped the fight in that one. Yep. He briefly moved up to flyweight again. He had fought at flyweight before, remember? So now he moved back up to 112 on October 6, 2012, and fought undefeated 23-year-old Steven Monterosa, who was undefeated at the time, 9-0 with 8 knockouts. This was at the Hotel Holiday Inn in Managua, Nicaragua, in his native Nicaragua, Chocolatito. Now, Monterosa was knocked down in rounds 1 and 2, and the stoppage seemed questionable as the referee waved the fight off as Gonzalez was finishing off his combination and landed a punch which did not appear to hurt Monterosa. Now, Monterosa questioned the officials as to why the fight was stopped. It was only a matter of time, though, because he had went down in both the first and second rounds. So, only a matter of time before he would have stopped him. So, the referee just saved him from the embarrassment of being knocked out. That's all. Now, October 27, 2012, it was announced that Chocolatito would fight 22-year-old flyweight prospect Juan Francisco Estrada at Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena on November 17th. Yeah, that's that one there. That's him and Estrada. Yeah, this was in Los Angeles. Their first fight, November 17th, okay, 2012. In an entertaining fight, Chocolatito retained his title by unanimous decision. This was the second time he fought in California and the third time in the United States. Now, the judges had this fight, 118, 110, 116, 112, 116, 112, all in favor of Chocolatito. Yeah. On May 25th, 2013, he fought Colombian Ronald Barrera in a non-title fight at super flyweight 115. He went over to 115 now. First fight there. This was at the Deportivo España in Nicaragua, fighting at his home again. Chocolatito won the fight by a fifth round stoppage. Referee Onofre Ramirez stopped the fight after Barrera was knocked down 2 minutes, 42 seconds into the fifth round. Now, the fight was originally scheduled for 113 pounds as a catch weight, but both fighters weighed 116 pounds. This led many to question if Chocolatito would be able to cut back down to 108 pounds. He never went back down. But I don't understand that. A catch weight of 113 when 112 is a weight division. I mean, you can't knock off just one more pound. If you can get to 113, why can't you get to 112? That's, catch weight's not usually just 1 pound above a weight division, but hey, I don't know. But let's move on. But yeah, they were supposed to fight at a catch weight of 113, but they both came in at 116. They couldn't even do that. So yeah. And Chocolatito never went back down after that to 108. But he did go fight at 112 again. Flyweight. So this is when he never fought again below 112 from this point. Okay? Never went below 112 again. After 5 successful title defenses at junior flyweight, he vacated his title to move up to flyweight because a lot of people was questioning if he would be able to get back down to junior flyweight, and he didn't. Okay? Vacated his title. So I tell you right there, he couldn't make it anytime you just give your title up, right? Vacating that title, you either can't make the weight or you're ducking somebody. But I don't think Chocolatito was ducking. He couldn't make the weight anymore. Like people were questioning. On September 21st, 2013, he defeated Francisco Rodriguez. Yeah, there's him in Francisco. I'm way behind. Anyway, he defeated Francisco Rodriguez Jr. by TKO in the 7th round. He then defeated Oscar Banquet, John Canton, and Philippine Juan Perisma, all by TKO. With this string of fights, Chocolatito took his record to 39-0 with 33 wins coming by way of knockout. Okay, so he had a pretty good little knockout rate going on there. 39-0, 33 by knockouts. Yeah, I got the calculator. That's 84.6% knockout rate for Chocolatito. Yeah, told you that in the little weight divisions, you see some good, you can see a lot of stoppages down there too. Now he fights Yagashi. I'm totally off on the pictures. When you get to Estrada and Martinez, I'll catch up then. I know what they look like. Anyway, Chocolatito versus Yagashi. June 23rd, 2014, it was finally confirmed that he would challenge the WBC, Ring Magazine, and lineal flyweight champion, Akira Yagashi, on September 5th, 2014, in Tokyo, Japan. Chocolatito won the fight by 9th round TKO to win the WBC, Ring Magazine, and lineal flyweight titles, becoming a boxing triple champion, third weight class now, right? This was a flyweight. Yeah. So now he's got minimum weight, junior flyweight, and flyweight. 3-weight world champion for Chocolatito in this fight. Yagashi was knocked down in rounds 3 and 9. Referee Michael Griffin stopped the fight after a final uppercut to Yagashi. At the time of the stoppage, the three judges had to fight 80-71, 79-72 twice in favor of Chocolatito. Yeah, he was blowing him away. Yeah, on the cards. Gonzalez versus Fuentes and Sosa. On October 19th, 2014, Tekken Boxing Gym, that's his promoters, announced that Gonzalez would make a defense of his titles against Ricky Fuentes on November 22nd at the International Swimming Pool in Yokohama, Japan. Now, the fight was being discussed for over a month. Gonzalez retained the titles against Fuentes by 6th round TKO. He fought Valentin Leon in a non-title fight on February 28, 2015, winning by a 3rd round TKO. On March 24th, 2015, it was announced that Chocolatito would be making his HBO debut against Mexican boxer Edgar Sosa at the Forum in Inglewood, California, home of the Lakers, on HBO World Championship Boxing on the undercard of Golovkin versus Monroe, May 16th. Now, Gonzalez defeated Sosa by a 2nd round TKO. Sosa was down 3 times in the 2nd round, and he made no effort to try to get up after the 3rd knockdown. Chocolatito earned a career high $200,000 against Sosa. And after defeating Sosa, he called for a rematch against Estrada, right? And he did win the first fight, but didn't get a rematch against Estrada right away. He fought Villarreal. It was announced that Gonzalez would defend his world titles against 34-year-old former unified flyweight champion, the veteran Brian Villarreal. 40 fights into his career, 36 and 422 knockouts at the Garden in New York on October 17th, 2015. This was on the undercard of Triple G and David Lemieux. He fought on a lot of Triple G undercards. This time, Triple G, Gennady Golovkin and David Lemieux, right? Now, Chocolatito defeated Villarreal by a 9th round TKO to retain his world titles. Now, Villarreal was knocked down in the 3rd round with a short right hand. In the 9th round, Gonzalez landed a wide open right hand that snapped Villarreal's head to the side. With Villarreal having taken a beating, referee Benji Estevez Jr. stepped in and stopped the fight at 2 minutes and 52 seconds. According to CompuBox, Chocolatito landed 335 of 805 punches, 42%. Valoria was limited to landing only 186 of 594 punches for 31%. And Chocolatito was a hit on all three judges' scorecards, 78-73 twice, 79-72 before the stoppage. With the win, Gonzalez moved to 14-0 in world title fights. He earned a $250,000 purse for this fight. Then he fought Arroyo. Gonzalez versus Arroyo. On February 13th, 2016, it was announced that Chocolatito would defend his titles against McWilliams Arroyo. On April 23rd, 2016, back at the Forum in Inglewood, California, on a co-feature of a world middleweight title fight between, guess who? Gennady Golovkin and Dominique Wade. Yeah, he was on a lot of Triple G's cards. Now, this was the third consecutive time he had been on a Triple G card, right? And he won by unanimous decision this time. 120, 108 twice, 119, 109. Ending his 10-fight stoppage streak, right? That fight there, he had a 10-fight knockout streak. This fight ended it. Dan Raphael from ESPN scored the fight, a shutout, 120, 108, as did two of the judges, right? All from Chocolatito. On fight night, Chocolatito weighed in at 126 pounds and said he could make one more defense before moving up to super flyweight. He said, "My conditioning was fantastic. Training in Costa Rica made all the difference. I think maybe one more fight at 112, and then I'll move up to 115. I want to fight the best possible opponent." Now, I think him and Estrada, I think they fought 2 times at 115, but we'll see. Okay. Now, he made $300,000 for this fight. Okay. Yeah. Super flyweight, 115. I don't think he ever went back to 112 after this, because that was a fight against Carlos Cuadras. Super flyweight, 115. Gonzalez versus Cuadras. K2 Promotions announced on July 14th that Gonzalez will move up to super flyweight to challenge Carlos Cuadras for the WBC title. The fight took place on September 10th, 2016 at the Forum in Inglewood, California. The fight was part of an HBO split-site telecast on which K2 stablemate and unified middleweight title holder, guess who? Gennady Golovkin defeated welterweight champion Kell Brook at the O2 Arena in London. Yeah, it was on the same card, but it was from 2 different locations, remember? They don't never do that nowadays, but yeah, right? And yeah, that was when Triple G beat Kell Brook in London, and Chocolatito's fight was in Inglewood, California. They was on the same broadcast, right? That night, HBO had live coverage of Cuadras Gonzalez along with a replay of the Golovkin Brook. You know, the Golovkin Brook fight was tape delayed, but it was on that same broadcast. In a close fight, Chocolatito defeated Cuadras by a 12-round unanimous decision to become the WBC Super Flyweight champion. This was the first time Chocolatito headlined the card and drew a crowd of 6,714, which was considered a success. I think this is his 4th weight class, right? Yep. And all 3 judges scored the fight for Chocolatito. And combined, both fighters threw over 1,000 punches. That ain't nothing compared to what Chocolatito and Estrada, both of them threw over 2,500, I think, in that second fight. Yeah. And he earned $400,000, guaranteed $400,000 purse. That was his highest purse ever to that point. Okay. And the fight averaged 843,000 viewers on HBO. Yeah. And in attendance at this fight was WBO super flyweight champion, the Monster, Naoya Inoue. They were in talks, but they never fought. Now, shortly after Chocolatito's win over Quadras, representatives of Naoya Inoue sent a formal offer to Chocolatito for what would have been a unification showdown. That would have been a big super fight, but it never happened. Now, Chocolatito stipulated that the terms offered for the Inoue fight weren't good enough and turned down the contract. And you know part of the contract was in Japan. After the win, Chocolatito made history by becoming the first fighter in the history of Nicaragua to capture 4 titles in 4 different weight divisions, something his mentor, Alexis Arguello, failed to do on 2 occasions during his career. Yep, first one to do that. But yeah, that monster Chocolatito would have been huge, but it never happened. After 4 successful flyweight title defenses, Gonzalez vacated his WBC flyweight title. He would be keeping the WBC super flyweight title and continue fighting in the 115-pound division. Yep, that's when he moved up to 115. Okay, now this was the death of. I'm right on where I belong. I was right. Going on my pictures, man. Yes. Death of Arnulfo Obando. That was his trainer. I was right on the point. On November 8th, 2016, Chocolatito's trainer since 2010, Arnaldo Obando was hospitalized after suffering a stroke earlier that week and in a serious condition. Upon arriving at the hospital, he was declared brain dead. On November 11th, the WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, confirmed in a statement that Obando had died at the age of 53. It was also said that Chocolatito would take a break from boxing. On January 24th, 2017, he started the training camp for his upcoming fight and announced that his father, Luis Gonzalez, would be his new trainer. Yep, that's his longtime trainer right there. Arnulfo Obando died. So his father became his trainer after that. Yep. Gonzalez versus Saur Rungvisai. In December 2016, at the 54th WBC convention, President Mauricio Suleiman announced that a rematch would take place between Chocolatito and Carlos Quadras for the WBC title in March of 2017. The winner of the rematch will need to fight WBC number 2 mandatory and WBC silver champion Sisakret Saur Rungvisai, the veteran. 41 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 38 knockouts. Rungvisai was a killer. 41 wins, 38 knockouts. 92.6% knockout ratio. Yeah. Everybody was looking forward to him and Chocolatito back then. But he had to fight Carlos Quadras first to get to Rungvisai, right? So Gonzalez stated he hadn't agreed to a rematch or signed any contract for a rematch to take place with Quadras, as he was not obligated to do so. He also spoke about the purse offered to him for a rematch. The HBO people are offering me very low money, so I cannot accept that fight. I've been struggling to get a good purse because we are the world number 1 pound for pound. He was at that time too. It was reported that Chocolatito was looking for a purse of around $1 million. His highest purse at that point was like $400,000 or $450,000, somewhere around that. Wasn't over $500,000. He was trying to get $1 million, right? On January 5th, his manager, Carlos Blandon, said that an opponent would be announced in 10 days. A day later, due to Chocolatito's not being obliged to give Quadras a rematch, Suleiman stated that Saur Rungvisai would get a chance to fight Gonzalez next. And the fight was officially announced on January 7th and served as the co-feature for guess who? Gennady Golovkin versus Daniel Jacobs at Madison Square Garden on March 18th, 2017. Now, coming into the fight, Rungvisai had only one loss since 2010, which came to Quadras in 2014 by technical decision. And it had that 92% knockout ratio too, remember? Yeah, Rungvisai was a killer, right? Yeah, that was a big fight in 2017. One of the biggest fights in boxing, as a matter of fact. Chocolatito and Sor Rungvisai. But a lot of people didn't follow the lower divisions, but that was a huge fight. Yeah, if you pay interest to the lower weight classes, yeah. That was huge. Okay, so on fight night, Chocolatito was knocked down in the first round by a body shot and went on to lose his first professional fight as well as the WBC super flyweight title by the majority division. Told y'all Rungvisai was a killer. He beat Chocolatito, dropped him, and beat him. Yeah. Waleska Roldan scored the fight. 113 even, while Glenn Feldman and Julie Letterman both scored it 114-112 in favor of Sor Rungvisai. You like old fights? That was a great one. Rungvisai and Chocolatito 2017. Yep. ESPN scored the fight 117-110 in favor of Chocolatito. See, ESPN got their agenda. Ain't no damn way Chocolatito won that fight in the 117-109. Even if he won it. It was close, but 170-109, ESPN is full of shit, man. Always have been, always will be. And many boos were heard around the arena, filled with 19,939 following the announcement of the decision. In round 3, Chocolatito suffered that knockdown in the first round was the difference. In round 3, Chocolatito suffered a cut over his right eye by an accidental clash of heads. The cut was treated by his corner throughout the fight, but blood still flowed over the side of his face. Sor Rungvisai lost a point in round 6 due to another clash of heads. After the fight, Chocolatito stated, "I thought I won the fight. I want an immediate rematch. I want to get my title back." Box stats showed Chocolatito landed 441 of his 1,013 punches thrown for 44%, while Rungvisai landed 284 of 940 for 30%. Wow. Chocolatito outlanded by 14 percentage points. Gonzalez outlanded Sor Rungvisai in 10 rounds out of 12. He also set a super flyweight record for power shots landed with 372. He earned a career-high purse, $500,000, while Rungvisai earned $75,000. Even Chocolatito won, it was not by no 170-110 like ESPN had it. But guess what? They did have an immediate rematch. That's the good thing about it. They had an immediate rematch. Okay, yeah, that was one. That was one for Rungvisai, and that's 2 for Rungvisai right there. Okay, yeah, they had an immediate rematch. That's how you do it. Close fight, disputed decision, immediate rematch. Gonzalez versus Sor Rungvisai 2. K2 director Tom Loeffler stated on March 31st that Chocolatito would seek a rematch with Sor Rungvisai. On April 4th, 2017, the WBC ordered a direct rematch to take place between Gonzalez and Sor Rungvisai. The winner of the first fight was due to fight mandatory challenger Carlos Quadras. Because remember, Quadras is still in the picture because Chocolatito was going to fight Quadras and the winner was going to fight Rungvisai. But Chocolatito said he didn't feel he should have to go through Quadras. So they bypassed Quadras. Chocolatito went straight to Rungvisai and got beat. So now they're trying to get the rematch and bypass Quadras again, where he was the mandatory challenger. And the winner of Chocolatito and Rumbleside was scheduled to fight Quadras. So Quadras got to get some step-aside money or something. Let's see what happens. Okay? Because the winner of the Chocolatito and Rumbleside fight was due to fight mandatory challenger Carlos Quadras, who had got passed over the first time. However, due to the direct rematch the WBC ordered, Quadras to fight the next available contender, former qualified flyweight champion Juan Francisco Estrada, for the WBC interim title. So Quadras got screwed again. The WBC ordered him to fight Juan Francisco Estrada for the interim title, right? Instead of getting the winner, which he was supposed to do, between Chocolatito and Rumbleside, so they let Chocolatito fight Rumbleside again. Now, if Chocolatito had won, Mauricio would have had him in Quadras fight. But since the Japanese guy won, Mauricio going to give Chocolatito a chance to get his get back. Boxing is a dirty game, man, I tell you. Now, the winner of both fights would then proceed to fight each other. The WBC rationalized this with the following statement. Rules regarding accidental headbutts were not used, but most importantly, considering the public demand to witness once again a great match between these two great fighters, the WBC has granted the request. What a crock of bullshit, Mauricio. Quadras was supposed to get that fight. I don't care what the public wants. The rules mandated Quadras get the fight. He was supposed to fight Chocolatito before he even fought Rumbleside. But you know, boxing is dirty. Let's continue. So they got the Chocolatito and Rumbleside again. Now, Tom Loeffler confirmed the date in the fall of 2017 would be considered, and the venue will be discussed with representatives of Rumbleside. On June 6th, Loeffler said the rematch would take place on September 9th on HBO at a location in California. It was said the Japanese super flyweight Naoya Inoue would be in line to make his American TV debut on the same card. On June 7th, Chocolatito traveled to Japan to negotiate a deal with T-Ken Promotions for the fight. One of the main reasons for discussing the contract was his purse. It was revealed by Mexican promoter Osvaldo Cucle that Quadras and Estrada would fight on the undercard for the WBC interim title. On July 6th, Tom Loeffler announced the fight would take place at the StubHub Center in Carson, California. Now, the event also featured WBO champion Naoya Inoue, and it was verbally agreed that should Gonzalez win against Rumbleside, then he and Inoue will meet in a unification fight. What happened to the winner versus winner with Quadras and Estrada? And I just forgot all about that. Now the Inoue name came in the picture, but that was a great card, man. Chocolatito saw Rumbleside, Quadras versus Estrada, and Inoue against somebody. Got who he fought. Yeah, but Inoue and somebody. So that was those three fights right there. Wow. So anyway, now they're talking about Chocolatito, the winner going to get Inoue. So, okay. Yeah, so the fight is at the StubHub Center in Carson, California. Excuse me for 1 minute. Okay, now it was confirmed the fight would be shown live on Sky Sports in the United Kingdom. At the 7-day weigh-in on September 3rd, Chocolatito weighed 119.8 pounds and Rumbleside weighed in at 119 pounds. Per WBC rules, both boxers were required to weigh no more than 121 pounds. At the official weigh-in 1 day before the fight, they don't do that 7-day thing anymore. Yeah. They had a rule where you weigh in 7 days earlier and you could be a certain weight. For that 118, you could be no more than 3 pounds above it. They don't do that anymore. Okay. At the Official weigh-in one day before the fight. Chocolatito weight tipped the scales at 114.8 pounds. Rumberside weighed 115 pounds. Well, this was at 115 pounds. So you can be 6 pounds above 7 days before the fight. No more than that. Chocolatito would be paid a career high $600,000, while Rumberside would make $170,000. Now why? Rumberside won the first fight, and Chocolatito still making $500,000 more than him. I do not understand that. But I guess after making $75,000 in the first fight, $170,000 was a lot to Rumberside, I guess. But anyway, on fight night in front of a pro Gonzalez sellout crowd of 7,418 at the StubHub Center in Carson, California, Chocolatito suffered his second career defeat. The killer Rumberside beat him again, okay? And failed to regain the WBC title, this time after being knocked out by Rumberside in the fourth round of their rematch. Rumberside dropped him in the first fight, stopped him in the second fight. The opening round started with both fighters throwing heavy shots. Rumberside began to work the body straight away, immediately. In round 4, Chocolatito was knocked down hard from a left to the head. He beat the count, getting up at 7, but on unsteady legs. Rumberside then finished the barely hurt Chocolatito with a right to the head. They put him down flat on his back. Referee Tom Taylor, the great Thomas Taylor, didn't even bother counting, waving the fight off, 118 of the fourth round. So now Chocolatito got 2 losses back-to-back to the same man, the Japanese killer, Sora Rumberside. Chocolatito was taken to the hospital after the fight for precaution. Like the first fight, an accidental headbutt occurred in round 1 when Gonzalez complained and the crowd booed. The referee warned Rumberside. The fight averaged an audience of 796,000 viewers on HBO and peaked at 835,000. Yeah, Rumberside stopped him this time. Yes, he did. After the fight, Rumberside stated that he had prepared for 4 months in order to knock Chocolatito out. He said, "I trained very hard for 4 months. I fought for Thailand, and this is what I dedicate this fight to, Thailand. For the first fight, I only trained for 2 months. I knew I was going to knock him out this time." Gonzalez was humble in defeat. We were both trading punches, but his were harder, and they landed harder. I was very hurt the second time when I was knocked down, but I think I'll be okay. Promoter Tom Loeffler also spoke to HBO in regards to Gonzalez's future. "I don't think he's done. When you fight a guy like Sister Cat, he took the opportunity of winning the lottery. He beat the #1 pound-for-pound fighter and beat him in New York. And then he beat him more convincingly the second time. Now he has to be considered one of the best in the world. You saw Roman really pack the house, and Sister Cat came into a hostile environment and proved he's a true champion. He has tremendous punching power. Now, CompuBox stats showed that Rumberside landed 80 of his 291 punches thrown, 27%, and Chocolatito landed 58 of 212. 27%. All 80 of Rumberside's landed punches were power shots. Chocolatito stated that he wouldn't return to the flyweight division as he was unable to reach the 112-pound limit, and that he was interested in competing for a 5th world title, but he was also considering retirement. At that moment, any future talk of a fight between Inoue and Gonzalez was dead in the water. Yep, he never fought. Once he lost to Rumberside, why get in there with the monster? Right? But Rumberside, the monster didn't even get in there with him. You talked about Nakatani. Rumberside was a killer. And the monster not even engaged in talks with his team. Okay? So inactivity after the Rumberside loss. he went into a period of inactivity. Now, weeks after the fight, Chocolatito stated that he was planning to continue his career. TK Promotions, his promoter, was said to be looking to arrange a fight against WBA champion Kai Yafai. Now, Yafai replied to reports that Chocolatito wanted to fight him by replying, "Happy days. I've wanted Gonzalez for a long time." Although he would have to get past his mandatory fight first, Chocolatito spoke out regarding challenging Yafai after being ranked number 2 by the WBA. It is a blessing to know that the WBA has placed me at number 2 in the rankings. I am grateful to WBA President Gilberto Mendoza for this opportunity. Gonzalez wished to take up an interim fight before challenging for a world title. He said, I am never going to take good care of myself. I am never going to enter the Yafai fight in bad condition. I take good care of myself. That's why I think I need a preparation fight. After being trained by Japanese coach Sendai Tanaka in his last fight, Chocolatito made his intentions clear that he wanted to work with Felix Trinidad's father and ex-trainer Don Felix. Gregorio Trinidad. He trained Felix. He trained Esteban de Jesus. So Chocolatito wanted to get him because, after his other trainer died, he had his father train, right? If you lose your first 2 fights, blame your trainer, even if it is your father. That's how they do it. Blame it on the trainer. Not that the other fighter was just better. Blame the trainer, right? But anyway, he wanted to get Felix Trinidad's father to train, right? The fellow countryman and former 2-weight world champion, Rosendo Alvarez, advised Chocolatito to return to flyweight, stating it would be too much, even more dangerous to move up to bantamweight. Chocolatito couldn't make flyweight, though. Okay, Rosendo. Now, according to Tom Loeffler, on November 22nd, it was believed that Gonzalez would make his ring return around April or May of 2018, possibly on the undercard of a guess who? Gennady Golovkin fight. Loeffler also stated that Chocolatito would not be part of the planned Superfly 2 card. On January 11th, 2018, Gonzalez hired Gustavo Herrera as his head trainer from Managua, Nicaragua. So he didn't get Felix Trinidad's father. On April 8th, veteran Mexican boxer Pedro Guevara was being lined up to be Chocolatito's next opponent, likely for Triple G's undercard on May 5th, 2018. Was that one of the Canelo fights? I think it was. Wasn't that Canelo won May 5th, 2018? Chocolatito won that card? Can't remember. But that's right around Cinco de Mayo. Now, terms have been agreed for a 10-round super flyweight fight between both parties. However, the fight had not been announced until the date and venue was confirmed. Now, after Triple G versus Martirosyan was announced, that wasn't Canelo, Martirosyan, was announced for May 5th at the StubHub Center in Carson, California. Promoter Loeffler confirmed that Chocolatito would appear on the card, right? On April 24th, he released a statement saying he would not fight on May 5th after an opponent was not officially confirmed. He went on to state that he would likely return in June 2018 in Nicaragua, where he last fought in 2015. Now, according to his manager, Carlos Blandon, Chocolatito was unable to get a visa, right? Rescheduled appointments in the space on 30 days have been canceled. Blandon stated they were still waiting on the visa issue as Chocolatito wanted to camp outside of Nicaragua. He also stated Gonzalez would likely return in September 2018. On May 30th, 2018, it was reported the California State Athletic Commission required Chocolatito to pass new neurological examinations before the ban would be lifted, because remember, he got knocked out in his last fight, right? Now, he initially passed the exams after his knockout loss to Gonzalez in September 2017. The reason for the additional test would be for precautionary measures. Okay. So, when he finally got back into the ring, take a drink. Yeah, he had a big layoff after the knockout to Saul Gonzalez. That Japanese killer. Okay. Now, according to El Nuevo Diario, on July 13, 2018, Chocolatito was looking for an opponent for the undercard of the, guess who? Gennady Golovkin, Canelo Alvarez fight on September 15th at the T-Mobile Arena. That was a rematch. At the time, the two likely opponents were Pedro Guevara and former world minimum weight champion Moises Fuentes. On August 20th, it was announced that Gonzalez would fight Fuentes in a 10-round fight to open the pay-per-view telecast. Yep, he fought Fuentes on the Canelo Triple G2 undercard. Okay. I don't know what happened. Yesterday I got what they call it when I got hacked. That's what ended the show. Then they're gonna send me a message to call this number. Then I call the number, they say they can put some new software in for like $290. I'm like, I hung up on them. So like 30 minutes later, it came back. They just hack you for a certain amount of time, think you're gonna pay that money, then don't do anything, and your computer gonna come back anyway, right? And I tell you, these people got some games with them. Mm-hmm. In the middle of the show, remember? Went out. Stay with me for one moment. Yeah, he's getting ready to have his return fight after his first 2 losses. Okay. I was right in the right place, but here we go. Yeah, Fuentes was his comeback fight. Thomas Hill in the building. What's up, Thomas Hill? We just talking about Chocolatito today. Salute, T. Hill. Okay, yeah, Chocolatito is a long one. Okay, so now he fought Fuentes for his comeback fight on the undercard of Canelo Triple G2. Moises Fuentes. Okay. Now he returned to his winning ways after he knocked out Fuentes in the 5th round. Fuentes was well beaten and bloody at the time. Referee Robert Byrd halted the fight at 1 minute 44 seconds, 5th round. Fuentes lacked the power to hurt Chocolatito whenever he did land. Chocolatito dominated Fuentes with sustained combinations in the same way he had done prior to his 2 losses. The wrong side. Fuentes suffered a cut over his right eye in round 2, with the dripping blood giving him problems with his visibility. Chocolatito did not target the eye. Instead, he mixed up his shots from body to head. There was little action in round 1, as both boxers fought cautiously. Chocolatito earned $200,000 while Fuentes made $35,000 for the fight. Okay? On October 31st, it was reported that Chocolatito would return to the ring on September 8th, 2018, on the final televised boxing card on HBO. Now, according to ESPN Deportes, the likely opponent was former world champion Pedro Guevara, the veteran. Now, a day later, the fight was announced to take place at the StubHub Center in Carson, California. On November 25th, Tom Loeffler told ESPN Chocolatito was unable to shake off a knee injury he suffered during his training camp and would no longer fight Guevara on the card. Gonzalez would be out for up to 6 weeks following arthroscopic surgery. Loeffler revealed Juan Francisco Estrada would likely replace Gonzalez and fight Guevara on the same card. In early December, Chocolatito underwent successful surgery on his right knee. He returned to the ring on December 23rd, 2019 on the undercard of Ryota Murata versus Stephen Butler, Yokohama, Japan. His opponent was Dwymel Drykos, right? That was his next fight after the knee surgery. Dwymel Drykos or something like that. Okay. Now, Chocolatito wasted no time and quickly broke down the overmatched Drykos with powerful combinations, staggered him badly in the second round. Referee Yuji Fukuchi stopped the action and gave Drykos a standing 8 count, giving him a chance to collect himself. But as soon as the fight resumed, Chocolatito continued to land punches on Drykos at free will, prompting the referee to step in and stop the fight, giving Chocolatito the victory by second round stoppage. Okay, now he goes up against Gonzalez. Gonzalez versus Yafai. On January 14th, 2020, Matchroom Boxing promoter Eddie Hearn announced Chocolatito would challenge the WBA Super Flyweight champion Kaya Yafai, not Goliath, Kaya Yafai, on February 29th at the Ford Center, Frisco, Texas. The fight was on the undercard of Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas, welterweight, main event. Now, despite having some success in the early rounds, Yafai was unable to fully capitalize on his bigger size and reach advantage, allowing Chocolatito to get close and dictate the pace of the fight with relentless pressure and bruising body shots. Chocolatito's high work rate and body attacks began to take an early toll on the champion, who became increasingly slower and fatigued, even losing his mouthpiece several times over the fight. In the 7th round, Chocolatito unloaded on a fatigued Yafai, and a sweeping right hand knocked the champion off balance. Yafai finally fell to the canvas late in the 8th round from an accumulation of punches, but he got up to finish the fight. Yep. He finished the final few rounds on his feet, final few seconds of the round on his feet. But Chocolatito quickly ended the fight in the 9th round after landing a huge overhand right that put Yafai on the floor for the second time. The referee Louis Pabon waved off the fight at that point, 29 seconds of the 9th round. Okay. Then we have Gonzalez versus Gonzalez. Al Booger in the building. What's up, Al Booger? Chocolatito today. Next, Gonzalez versus Gonzalez. Okay. Chocolatito Gonzalez. He fought tell you in a minute. Anyway, he fought Israel Gonzalez. October 23rd, 2020, he faced mandatory challenger, WBA number 3 ranked contender, Israel Gonzalez. Chocolatito successfully defended his belt by dominating through most of the fight, earning a unanimous decision. Okay, so now he faces Juan Francisco Estrada 2. Juan Francisco Estrada 2. Okay. I know that's the same picture I had for Juan Francisco Estrada 1. One of them was 1, one of them 2. Right one of the times. Okay. It was right one of the times I had it up there. On March 13th, 2021, he faced Juan Francisco Estrada, the WBC and the Ring Super Flyweight champion, 115. Remember, the first one was at 112 flyweight. This was the second time the pair had met after the first fight in 2012, ending a unanimous decision for Chocolatito. Now, both fighters threw a lot of punches, with CompuBox crediting both with 2,529 total punches thrown combined. That's a lot of punches, right? Making it the busiest fight at 115 pounds that Combat Box has ever tracked, okay, since they started using Combat Box. That was the most thrown at 115. In a very close and thrilling fight, Chocolatito seemed to have narrowly outlanded Estrada. However, Estrada earned the split decision win, having two judges score the fight in his favor, 117-111. That was ridiculous, 170-111. And 115-113. The third gave it to Chocolatito, 115-113. I had 115-113 for Chocolatito, but it wasn't no 117-111. Then this don't seem like that long ago, but it was a while. Martinez, remember that one? This was around COVID time. Gonzalez was expected to face Juan Francisco Estrada in a trilogy in the main event of a DAZN broadcast on March 5th, 2022 at Pechanga Arena in San Diego, California, but he was forced to withdraw from the fight due to a positive COVID-19 test and was replaced by the WBC flyweight champion, Julio Cesar Martinez, who stepped in on a 6 weeks notice. Gonzalez won the fight by unanimous decision, with the judges scoring the fight 118-110, 117-111, 116-112, all in favor of Chocolatito. Yeah, Estrada had COVID, remember, that second time. That's when he fought Martinez. But then after that, we did get Estrada 3. Now, Estrada clearly won that one. Yeah, 3. Yeah. Juan Francisco clearly won 3. Gonzalez, Estrada 3. September 3rd, 2022. It was announced that Chocolatito would face Juan Francisco Estrada for the third time in his pro career on December 3rd. Yeah, we're going to cover this trilogy one of these Mondays. This Monday is the Bo Holyfield trilogy. But we're going to get to this one. Now, the fight headlined the DAZN broadcast card, which took place at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. Chocolatito lost the fight by majority decision with scores 114-114, 115-113, 116-112. I don't know what that judge was looking at, 114-114. Estrada clearly won that one. Yeah. Y'all saw it. Estrada clearly won that one. No question about it. Okay, then he fought Barrera, Robles. April 2024, it was announced that Chocolatito would make a ring return after 18 months inactivity against Robert Barrera in a 10-round bantamweight fight back in his home country of Nicaragua, July 12, 2024. This was his first fight in Nicaragua in almost 10 years. Since 2015, this was like 2023 by then. Now, the card was to be streamed on ESPN Plus and ESPN Knockout. Speaking about his comeback, he said, "We are anxious to get back in the ring. This will be a big comeback in my career, and I'm grateful it's going to be in front of my Nicaraguan people." Rose was looking to avenge the defeat Gonzalez inflicted on his brother, Ronald Barrera, in Managua in 2013. Now, Chocolatito explained the difficulties in organizing an event in Nicaragua. This was mostly to do with cost. However, he was happy that his fans could now see him live. At the weigh-in, Chocolatito weighed in at 116 3/4 pounds, and Barrera was 117 pounds. Both of them was over because it was 115. Gonzalez scored, well, neither one of them had a title. Gonzalez scored 2 knockdowns on his way to a TKO win in the 10th round. In the 10th round, Gonzalez had Barrera trapped and unloading shots on him when the referee halted the fight. The time was 51 seconds into the round. Okay, so then he fought Robles, I believe, after that. Yeah. In February, wait, I think I got ahead of myself. Yeah, he was unloading on Barrera when the referee stepped in hard to the fight. Time was 51 seconds into the round. The first knockdown came in the 8th round following a heavy body shot. A combination of shots dropped Robles again in the Barrera again in the 9th round. Gonzalez planned to travel to Japan at the end of 2014 for a world title fight. I mean, at the end of that year, 2024. In February 2025 of this year, it was reported that Chocolatito was in talks to move down to super flyweight and challenge the WBO title holder Fumalele Kafu, who's 11-0 with 8 knockouts, in Managua, Nicaragua. In April, Kafu instead chose to unify against WBC and Ring Magazine champion Jesse Bam Rodriguez on July 19th in Texas. Okay, yeah, he lost that one to Jesse Bam, remember? On July 4th, 2025, it was announced Kafu did to Bam. On July 4th, 2025, it was announced that Gonzalez would once again headline the Pala Deportivo Alexis Arguello Arena in Managua, Nicaragua on September 12th against Mexican boxer Hector Robles. Now the card would be held under Guggen's Box Promotions. It was set to be Robles' first pro fight outside of Mexico, right? But so that's coming up, his next fight. I thought it was November, but it says September, right? So Chocolatito is now on the schedule for September. Look at his personal life, and then I'll let y'all all we be at the terminal. Y'all can get on off the plane. Okay? Look at his personal life. Pulling up to the terminal. Okay? Now Chocolatito is married. No, he's managed by Carlos Blandon and is promoted by Japan's Tekken Promotion. Okay? Did work with Eddie Hearn part of his career too. But started out with Tekken. Now, Gonzalez is divorced. He has 2 children and he lives in Managua, Nicaragua. He has stated that although he fights for honor and glory, the main reason is to provide for his family. He is a practicing Christian and is publicly open. He's a practicing Christian and a publicly open supporter of the FSLN political group in Nicaragua. There you have it, the life and career of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. All right. Yeah, Monday is the trilogy day. Riddick Bowe versus Evander Holyfield trilogy. We got some fire trilogies. We've done Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Ward Gaddy. Last week we did Barrera and I can never remember the guy's name that Barrera fought. Man, that one. And this week is going to be Holyfield Bowe. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Morales. Barrera Morales trilogy. Here comes the link if anybody would care to hit it. We got like 15 minutes. Okay. Yeah, Eric Morales trilogy. That was this week. And I got almost 400 views on that thing. People like them trilogy. Maybe I should do a trilogy every damn day. Nah, nah, you gonna do that. We gotta have our countries on Thursdays and our profiles on Fridays, you know? Got to. But how's everybody this Friday afternoon? We are into the weekend. Appreciate everybody that's in here with me today. 1,000,000%. Sky Nicholson in there this weekend. I don't know about too much else that's happening. I don't know. We got Bud and Canelo soon. I still got Canelo. I don't know. We'll see though. We don't have long either. We don't have long. It's gonna happen. Okay. Janito Porfirio. What's up, Janito? Porfirio. Salute. Oh, we're done now. We are The link is in there now. Mr. Luke, Chocolatito, for real. Good to see you today. Like and subscribe, please. I'm 44 away from 1,000. No, yeah, 44 away from 1,000. Yeah, we'll be pulling up with another week of boxing history next week. But yeah, that was the life and career of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez today. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Monday we're gonna have the Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield trilogy. That was a great trilogy. Bowe won the first one, remember. I thought Bowe was gonna win the second one before that fan man came into the ring on whatever he was on, some kind of contraption. Y'all know the story. A man dropped into the ring. I forgot what round it was and landed right on the apron in some kind of contraption, right? And then Riddick Bowe's entourage was sitting right over there on the side. He landed and they bounced him out of the ring and pulled him all by the strings all the way over there to them, and they beat him up. He got the worst beating. And it affected Bowe more because Bowe's pregnant wife was in the audience, and she got taken out of there, right? And Bowe saw all that. If I was him, I wouldn't even have continued the fight. I'm like, man, I got to go to the hospital with my wife. So that was on his mind. And Holyfield won that one. But then in the third fight, Bowe stopped him. So Bowe took 2 of the 3. But the fan man incident, I think, cost Bowe that second fight. Holyfield got the decision. Yeah. And that's going to be Monday. We're going to talk about that Monday. All of that. More in depth. Right? And then is next Friday the first week of the month? No. It'll be the week after that. Because we're going to have Earl Spence this month we do an act. Well, we just did an active boxer, Chocolatito, but he's half active, half retired. But he's fighting in September against Robles. Remember, we just talked about it. Yeah, I thought it was November, but it said Chocolatito's back in action in September, right? And so yeah, Chocolatito is still active. And we're gonna have Earl on the first Friday in September, right? And we're gonna do something on the Irish bloodlines in boxing next week. The Technique requested that. We're gonna do that next week. Technique, I promise. And we got Just Do Boxing coming up next in these YouTube streets. Okay. Yeah, everybody losing their mind because Tank fighting Jake Paul. Hey. I can't think of too many fighters offer that kind of money. Wouldn't take it. A lot of people jealous because their favorite fighter name ain't big enough to get offered that kind of money, Yeah. I ain't tripping over it. Am I gonna watch it? No. But I ain't tripping over it. No. I ain't losing no sleep over it. It ain't gonna change my life. Man, I seen a guy, I ain't gonna sit on there. He was on the other day on there talking about that, man. He was calling all Tank supporters P-word, B's, MFs, and his face was all contorted. Spit was coming out of his mouth, and I'm like, this guy, he had like 100 people in his chat. And I'm like, why are these 100 people why do they want to listen to that? And then he threatened somebody in the chat disagreed with him. He threatened to come to their house and kill him. Yeah, because they disagreed with him over. They was trying to protect Tank, and he threatened to come to their house and kill him. This content creator did, man. I was like, damn. I listened for about a minute, but I went, what? He had 100 people in his chat, though. I mean, wow. Why does somebody want to listen to that? I think y'all know who I'm talking about, but I'm not gonna say his name. But man, he told this guy, I can get your address. I will come to your house, come to your crib, and kill you. Pussy. I was like, damn. All over a fight, man, where 2 guys making millions of dollars, and you tripping like that? It ain't that serious, man. Really, it ain't that serious. Is it good for boxing? Hell no. You know, it's a circus show, but it ain't that serious to get that upset over. Man, I said, this guy will give himself a stroke or something. Calm down. I didn't dare put that in the chat because he probably would have laid me out, man. Told you that one guy disagreed with him. He threatened to come to his house and kill him. And he was getting super chats, $20, $50, $75, back to back to back to back. Yeah, they're cussing them out, calling them names, and they send them super chats. I was like, damn. What am I doing wrong over here? God damn. That was crazy. I stayed about a minute. I was like, wow. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But I ain't not gonna say his name. Man. But yeah, it's not that serious. Tank fighting Jake Paul. Woo-wee. Don't watch it. That's all. But see, a lot of people was talking bad about Tank even before this happened. And this just giving an opportunity to talk negative about Tank. Tank could fight everybody at 135. Some people still gonna talk negative about him. It's just what they do. Okay, so this just gave him an extra opportunity to put the young man down. That's all this is, right? You know. So yeah. And they gloat. I told you he wasn't shit and all of it and all of that, you know. Hey. Jake Paul could offer me $1,000. I'll fight him, shit. And Tank getting like 6 digits or something, I heard. Give me 1,000. Shit. Damn, I ain't tripping off of it. Make that kind of money fighting. I was tripping at first, but I'm like, no. Look at all that money he gets. He ain't getting that kind of money fighting none of these regular boxers. And I'm not defending it. I'm just rationalizing it. I don't blame him. Fighting for 1,000, 500, 100. Nah, you got to be at least 1,000. No, 10,000. I believe I could beat him at 65 years old. Jake Paul. I'm gonna be like one of them wrestlers. Remember, like the Gorgeous George and Gorilla Monsoon. I'm gonna go in my trunks and come out with something when the referee turns his back. You know. Then throw it out into the audience like them wrestlers used to do, remember? Yeah. Okay, but I appreciate everybody for coming through this week. Okay. We got Janito Porfirio, Al Booger, Thomas Hill, Technique, The Drunk Irishman, Crush the Legend, Mike Mazik, Mike Rim, The Real Hattie, Ken Saw Love 1, Just Do Boxing, and Miss Cass. Okay. Appreciate everybody. Enjoy your weekend. I don't know who's fighting. I know Sky Nicholson is fighting. That's all I know. Right. Salute Al Booger. Appreciate you 1,000%. And yeah. Bundy. Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield trilogy. We got Just Do Boxing coming up next. I'm heading on over there after I go to the store first. Okay, but I appreciate you. Everybody have a great weekend. Be back Monday with another exciting episode of Cass Sports the Box Story. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Everybody have a good one. Peace.